Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and this is going to be a fun one. We're reconnecting with an old friend, and we're getting to hear what's going on over at his place of work. Today we have with us Anish Michael with Firmspace. Welcome.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me back on.
Well, I'm excited to get updated. Tell us about Firmspace. How have you guys handled the pandemic as hopefully we're in their waning days?
That's right, Lee. Well, if you remember back when we talked in September, we were just opening up our new Firmspace Atlanta location in the Uptown area, Buckhead. And, we were really excited despite all that was going on in the world with the pandemic because we thought we were bringing a product that made sense for our target audience, our business professionals that needed a private, secure place to work. And although we've all had our challenges through the pandemic, we're really happy with the way things are coming about, especially in Atlanta with our location there. And really excited about the concept of flexibility that many of our professionals are looking for as we come out of this pandemic.
And speaking of flexibility, let's talk a little bit about your backstory. Talk about a little bit about how you got to take on the role as CEO, because it's an interesting kind of journey you've been on.
Yeah, it's a great question, Lee. I know it's something we didn't talk too much about on our last chat, but I'm happy to talk a little bit about it. So I've been practicing law for about 15 years. I have a legal background and have been working with a lot of great clients over the years. And Firmspace was one of my close clients and friends. And ultimately, they asked me to come in the August of 2019 to help run the company and take it to a level that we all want to see in terms of growing this product to a scalable opportunity for many to see and use from a flexibility standpoint.
Now, was your background primarily with like a large firm that was doing some legal work with different companies, or were you had your own firm and that were just working with different companies?
Yes, I was in private practice with some mid-sized firms, and Firmspace just happened to be one of my clients that I used to provide outside counsel for.
And then through the years, I'm sure you've got to work with lots of different companies, but what attracted you to Firmspace?
Well, just the level of trust that I had with the ownership group that I'm working with, and just the bond that we had in terms of working on something that we thought made a really big difference in terms of the office space market, and bringing this type of a product to cater to business professionals like myself in my prior career, to have a place that provides them the level of support and privacy and security that an attorney and other business professionals would need, yet creating a sense of flexibility and ultimately lowering overhead costs to allow professionals to work on their day-to-day craft and worry less about administrating an office space, and let a company like Firmspace handle it.
Now, is it unusual to have somebody being kind of the legal counsel eventually become the CEO, or is that a common path?
Well, I wouldn't say it's all that common. It certainly has happened before, and you'll see a lot of even some of the top public companies with former lawyers at the helm. And it's certainly a great opportunity for someone like myself to understand the legal background and the legal risks that are involved with running in a business, but taking it to a level of being able to manage on a wider spectrum. I think having a law degree and practicing law and understanding what my clients have been through as I provided legal advice is just a great way for someone like myself to jump in and really understand what it takes to scale a company to the heights that we want it to scale it to.
Now, was there a challenge for you to kind of put on the CEO hat from the lawyer hat in terms of kind of the overarching, now you're in charge of all of the kind of components of this venture, not just kind of the legal side?
Really good question, Lee. I think one thing, being a lawyer, you certainly need to have your eyes focused on some of the legal ramifications and legal risks that that come about with in this particular instance, running a business. But as a CEO of a company, you really got to take on the advice that is provided to you, whether it's legal or otherwise, and really make a sound business decision on moving the company forward.
But was that a challenge for you mentally to kind of, instead of like kind of looking at mitigating risk, you're also kind of now focused on let's maximize opportunity, and sometimes there's some friction between those two?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly, I'd prefer being on the side of maybe being a little too conservative and maybe not taking too much risk, but learning how to evolve as a manager of space and making the sound business decision as opposed to maybe the other way around. So happy with the foundation that I have to be able to provide that type of decision-making ability.
So now that the pandemic is waning and people are getting back into the office, are you finding that more and more people are opening their mind to this type of an arrangement that Firmspace offers?
Absolutely. We thought we were had a good following beforehand, but now I think the demand is coming back and ultimately providing that flexible nature of our business and our product. We've really seen a lot of great things over the last couple of months.
Now, how are you differentiating yourself from the other kind of co-working spaces that are out there?
Yeah, our product's really based on a private office membership. So in order to be a member at Firmspace, you're going to have the ability to have a private office, as opposed to maybe what others have viewed traditional co-working to be more of a hot desking or sharing of communal areas. All of our memberships are based on having a private office and going from there from a membership standpoint.
But within that private office, there can be more than one member?
Yeah, great question, and something that we've been focusing on of late from a hybrid standpoint. We've all been hearing about the concept of bringing a hybrid work model to the workplace, and it's something we've been looking into and seeing how we can enhance our already hybrid model. From day one, initially, our memberships allowed for 2 members to occupy a desk, so long as they just weren't there at the same time. And so now we've enhanced that by bringing out a product called Firmspace Hybrid, which really combines our pro-working model with additional flexibility that our discerning professionals of the future we think will need.
And then that's more than 2 members can access? Is that how the hybrid?
Yeah, that's right. So for you can have up to 2 members at a desk for our base pricing, and then for an additional fee, you can add a 3rd member, so there can be a 3-to-1 member to desk ratio.
And that's as long as they all 3 can't be there at the same time, but they can rotate in shifts or in days. Is that how it's going to work?
That's correct, and it's up to the company and the employers to figure out scheduling or amongst the members. Really, the goal of it is to continue to lower overhead costs, which we think our base model membership does, but it also preserves the benefits of a flexible schedule that we're seeing that employers and employees are really considering going forward. But it also supports a productive environment to allow members to continue to use a private office environment, but also the meeting rooms that we have. And so while there may be up to 3 members at one desk, and if one member's ultimately using it, it still allows for collaboration in our conference rooms with all the members.
Now, can they invite, like you're a lawyer, you were a lawyer, so if you had a client, the client can come in, that it just more than one member can't come in at the same time? Is that right? That's
right. So I think what you're asking is ultimately if it's a client of that company and the client is coming in to see the members, guests and members are always allowed to come in and meet with our members. It's just more of the actual back office using the private desks and being able to be productive in a private office setting.
Now, does the membership include a certain amount of conference room time? Is that built into the package, or is everything a la carte outside of the office?
Lee, it's built into the package. So with the membership comes a certain amount of credit hours, and it's based on the amount of guests that you have. And then ultimately those hours will be able to be used on a monthly basis.
Now, are you finding that a lot of co-working spaces at the beginning of the co-working trend, when that began, they were catering to like the creative folks, solopreneurs, and eventually over time they kind of pivoted to kind of larger enterprise offices that were having satellite offices in different parts of the town. What does your target kind of consumer look like?
Well, Lee, really, it's anyone who really needs a private office environment that needs privacy, a level of security and support from our staff. It's really to that extent, if you fit those and that's a need for you, we welcome you to come try us out. Now, when we take a look at our membership currently, and certainly the legal profession and the financial services world are predominantly our members in our space, but certainly we have a wide variety of industry and sectors that work out of our spaces.
So you're finding that a lot of lawyers are attracted to this because it's giving them the privacy they need, and it's giving them the flexibility and maybe less of a commitment on a lease than they would if they were renting space somewhere?
You got it, Lee. That's absolutely correct.
And so you're not attracting like kind of the big enterprises that are coming to town that are just kind of spinning up an office to get something going and then hiring some folks. It's less of that?
Well, I wouldn't say less of that. We certainly cater to that clientele as well. While most of our offices are equipped with 1 to 3 desks, we certainly have areas in our space that can accommodate more of an enterprise level of a larger employee base. And, we certainly can cater to that clientele as well. But most of predominantly the number of our desks in our offices range from anywhere between 1 and 3.
And then there's Firmspace in other parts of the country as well, right?
There certainly is. While Atlanta is one of our recent openings, we just opened up in the central loop of Chicago last month, and really excited about being in a great city like Chicago. And prior to these recent openings, we had 3 locations, started out in Austin and have a location in Denver and Houston as well.
So now is that the move? You're going to expand to other places around the country and just kind of grow as the need kind of presents itself?
Yeah, we're absolutely looking to grow across the country, something that I've had my eye on for the business prior to the pandemic happening. We're ready to get back and get things moving again from an expansion standpoint, and look forward to growing the brand.
So now I would think now this is a good time for you to get space. There's a lot more space available. Is this kind of driving some of that growth opportunities?
Well, I would say that landlords are certainly open to discussing the concept of adding a flexible product to their assets. And we certainly have been having those discussions, and we think our product makes sense for a lot of landlords and in the buildings that we're looking at in the markets that we want to be in. So there certainly are a lot of open dialogue with landlords at this point. And I think the overall feel is that landlords understand that the flexible product is something that is in demand, and they're looking for ways to partner with the right operators to put it in their buildings.
So now is there still space available in the Atlanta location?
In our building or in our space?
In your space, in Firmspace, yes, in Atlanta.
Yes, there is space still available, and encourage folks to come out and take a look at the product that we have to offer. We think it's going to be a great fit here going into the future of flexibility.
Now, one of the kind of limiting factors when it is private offices, when they're gone, they're gone. They're like, it isn't like you can just keep adding hot desks or just let people kind of bounce in and bounce out, right?
Yeah, no, there's certainly a limit to inventory that we have when it comes to desks and private offices. The great thing in terms of speaking of flexibility is that depending on the member and their time frame and longevity of being with us, we'll certainly have opportunities for new members to come in and take space that become available. But for the most part, we're seeing, about an average of 12 months of term that's, oftentimes renewed, but it gives a member the comfort level they need to feel like they're in a flexible environment to provide their office needs.
So now, is that, do they have to commit to a year, or is it something like if they needed 3 months or 6 months, they can commit to that?
They can commit to a shorter term. Our general terms are 2 months, 6 months, or 12 months. Wow,
that's real. So then someone could kind of dip their toe in this without really committing full time. They could see if this is a fit or not.
That's exactly right, Lee. Just another added layer of the flexibility concept.
So if somebody wanted to learn more, have a more substantive conversation with you or somebody on your team, what's the website?
Well, our website is www.firmspace.com. And we actually just recently added a blog about the hybrid product interview, and that's in our Pro Worker blog page. And they can take a look at that at the same website, just / the Pro Worker. So www.firmspace.com / the Pro Worker.
Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. One more time, the website is just firmspace.com, right?
Correct.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on all the success.
Thank you very much, Lee. Thanks again for having me.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio.
Today's episode of Atlanta Business Radio is brought to you by OnPay, Atlanta's new standard in payroll. To learn more and get your first month free, go to onpay.com.